don't mind.
Okay. All right. So back to what I was saying. The first week, the question was more around an homemade product, but I think only a few persons answered that. Only a few persons answered that about an homemade product and trying to find out the challenges surrounding that kind of product and what could be done to ensure that that product gains the maximum experience. So only a few persons, I think only one person or so answered that, and others didn't. And then the second question, the second week was about analyzing the Female Techpreneur Bootcamp forum platform and look into what could be made better and what could be done to improve the general user experience of the page. So I've seen a couple of answers on that as well. So, but I feel to the best of my knowledge, we didn't really dig deep into the entire forum to see how the experience of that platform could be improved. We really, or let me say, maybe to best of maybe to just the best of our knowledge, maybe that's how far we were able to go. But I felt that there could have been more that could have been done. You could have identified more pain points, could have identified things that needed more improvement. But I feel to a large extent, some of the persons that answered just spoke to the aesthetics alone. Generally to the aesthetics. For me, not to the entire user experience of the platform. Maybe I'm speaking from my own point of view in particular, but overall, I appreciate the fact that we attempted it. I just feel that we did not touch so much deeply into, or we didn't probably look deeply into the forum and see, based on the things that we've learned so far, and that's why I said maybe at the end of today's session, which is going to also buttress some of the things we've learned, maybe we'll be able to get more insights into how some of these things work, and we'll be able to improve on our responses. So I feel we could be able to dig deeper into things that really need, that really need attention, and then answer to those points. Yes, so I hope I've been able to answer the question now.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that.
Correct.
Okay, so it's more about the experience.
Yes.
Or about the what is missing.
Yes.
Okay, no, I got it. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So what I've done is go to the page, okay, and look at the assignment that people have. So Balkis, this is Balkis' own.
Yes.
Okay? So this is what she's done.
Okay.
So what's your feedback on this? And instead of us talking abstractly, this information is available for us.
Okay.
So what's the feedback? Have you seen this, or this is first time you're seeing it?
I'm just seeing this. I think this was uploaded this morning. I'm just seeing this.
So in that case, I'm going to go to the ones that have been uploaded before now, because you wouldn't have had the time to look at it. All right. So I'm going to skip that. Efe. Can you see Efe's one?
Okay, yes, I can.
Have you seen that before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so what's the feedback on this? Is Efe on the call?
I'm not so sure if she's on the call yet.
Okay.
Well, I think to the best of my knowledge, she answered to the questions that were asked by Mr. Timmy at the end of last session. So I think she did pretty well on submission.
Okay, because it's good to see what people have done You know,
Yes.
she talked about the role of empathy in design thinking, which is really great. I like what she's done. This is a major part of UX design, putting yourself in your user's shoes. Monzo banking app. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Efe. Even if you're not here, you can watch it later. Good job. So this is week 1 as well. She's called out what we need to do in terms of female tech forum page. So for people that perhaps think, okay, maybe I'm being told I didn't answer it correctly, I think Efe's one is a good case study. You know, she said that colors for the home page make the page look busy. So she's calling out the color, and the front page should show that this is a website for tech training. Perfect. So things that needs to be changed, I would prefer, So we all have access to the dashboard, and everything is out there. We're learning from ourselves. Nobody is a bank of knowledge, that I keep saying. So the user experience, get started, takes me to resources. There's no explanation as to why I am starting with resources, which is in the menu on the dashboard. So it's confusing, you know. So thank you, Efe. I think this is a good example of what we are looking for as a response. And Sister Folake Bello also did our, so was you okay? Empathy plays a massive role in design thinking. Wow. Yep. So in terms of your feedback, Faith, I think she actually answered this one correctly.
I guess I skipped out with 3. I'm not sure I saw this particular one.
Okay, so do you want to look at it now? Because it's important that people get feedback for the hard work they're putting in, you know.
Of course, of course. All right.
Mr. Timmy, if you want to give your feedback as well, being that you gave this assignment on this one, you can chip in.
I think this is fantastic, but I mean, this is quite great. Yes.
Simplicity to use for Zoom. Okay. UX focus, full experience from a user's first contact to the last. Wow. This is really nice and detailed. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. And this is her feedback on the Bootcamp page.
Okay, so I guess this was the one I saw. I didn't see the second one. So I was giving feedback based on this.
Thank you so much. And we're taking all the feedback on board, and we would probably be doing some of the design. So get ready. Opportunity to navigate between sections within the forum, functions to save assignments and come back later. Yep. If you want to edit it, I don't think we have that feature there. Timetable of different topics for each week. Perhaps assignments for each week online to complete direct, including learning assessment. Wow. Okay, other engagements, polls, open questions, ebooks. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate this, and we would look into it. Okay. Ayomide, is Ayomide on the call? Let's see what Ayomide says. Oh, wow. She even gave us screenshots. Wow. Okay.
So these were the ones I said 2 persons made the same submission. So I don't know where the mistake came from, but 2 persons made the same. I think it was Balkis first.
Oh, this is Balkis. But maybe it was overridden somehow.
Somehow, yes.
Okay. Because in here it says, welcome Balkis. Balkis is not Ayomide now, right?
Of course.
Or is that your name, Balkis? Tell us so.
No, I'm Balkis actually. I was surprised to see another name on it.
Oh wow. Okay. We'll check with Ayomide. Maybe I think Ayomide is not even in UI UX. Is she? I don't know. I need to check. All right. Barkeys, I think we've seen yours and we've really flogged it. We flogged it. So you've given feedback based on Rosie and Barkeys, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. After this call, Faith, please, if you want to give individual feedback, that would be great. But from what I've seen, I like what I saw in terms of the feedback that we've been given on how to improve the forum and also with the UI UX fundamentals. So thank you very much for everyone who has submitted the assignment. I think it helps us when we get to the design. We're not just designing, we've actually thought through what we're doing. So thank you. Timmy, do you have anything else to add before you crack on? I'll stop sharing my screen.
Okay. Well, I just want to commend everyone for their efforts that they have put into providing answers to all of the assignments. So I can see all of the great works and the interesting responses. And I really love everyone's responses. Just that we need to, maybe some of us just need to watch the videos to still understand some of the key points more. So, but really, I must say we are really doing well.
Okay, thanks Timmy. And I think we're good to go for today's session. So just a short recap, and then we can start on what we plan to learn today. I believe we're still continuing on the fundamentals, aren't we?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can share your screen. Did I make you co-host?
Okay, I'm going to do that right now.
Okay, I've made you co-host now, so.
Okay. I want to believe everyone can see my screen now.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. So good morning once again, everybody. And so good to have us this morning on this session. And today, we're going to be diving in deeper to what we started last week. But before that, I would like us to do a quick recap of what we started in the previous class, which was last week. So in the class, we were able to talk about UX fundamentals, and we talk about a brief history about how UX got started, if we still remember, and then we talk about how it started in China. I mean, not that it started in China, but there was this practice that they observed that time that usually makes them to believe that the arrangement of things in the house or in the office has a way of bringing luck and good like fortune into that particular, for that person or for that particular house or for the office. And then we dive deeper into understanding the key concept of UX and citing different examples that time. We'll talk of industry standard for a good UX. We talk about, if you remember, we talk about 5 good points on about the industry standard. I don't know if anyone can remember that right now. If you still remember, can you just bring it to, can you just put on your mic and say something? Are we there?
Yes. When you said that the user will continue to enjoy the products, or sorry, that are you saying that what is important? Why is UX
Yes.
important to business? Is that the question?
Yes, we talk about 5 different points, key industry standard for a good UX.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I should just mention one of them so that I can remember.
Yeah.
We have strategy.
No. I mean, okay. Continue with what you're talking. Continue. I'm listening. Yeah, I'm listening.
Timmy, sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, I was asking the UX industry UX standard. I mean, industry standard for a good UX. We talk about equitable, enjoyable. I don't know if you remember all those things that we talked about that time.
Just tell us and make it easy, please.
Okay.
Recap what we.
All right. We talk about the product being equitable, being enjoyable. All right. And also we talk about the user having an experience that they can share with other people, because when they come in contact with the product and they are able to use it and enjoy it, it's going to be a win-win for both the user and for the business that is involved. All right. So, and going further, we talk about different aspects of UX design. We talk about the motion designers. We talk about the researchers, UX researchers, and some other people like that. Okay. So, and then we also mentioned we talk about good UX and bad UX, which we cite different examples on how to go about them. Then, because of our time, because we've literally spent 25 minutes already, I like to go straight into what we have to do today. All right. So this is a quick highlight of what we are going to be talking about today. And as you can see on the screen, we have design sprints, user research, the application of user research, and some other things that we are still going to be mentioning here. All right, so let's do a quick dive in. All right, I actually put this there to do for us to have a snip in into what we did last week. We talk about user experience, and I saw this GIF image, and I feel I should add it to be part of the slide. You can see this. The look plus the feel is what gives us good usability for a product. All right, and that talks about UI. The UI is talking about the look, and the UX is talking about the feel. And you remember I said the two of them contribute to the success. Of course, the two of them, like they like play the two different side of a coin, right? The UI and the UX, but they are working together to achieve the same goal, which is creating a usable product, a viable product, and an enjoyable product for the user, for the end user. All right. So the look plus the feel, which is the UI and the UX, is equal to usability, which makes the experience smooth and seamless for everyone that is involved. All right, so let's start with design sprint. Now, after getting to know about what UX is all about, getting to know why we do UX and why it is very important to do it, then we need to talk about how we can get into doing it and what are the things necessary that we need to understand, and how do we even go about it to creating a product that will have one of the best experience ever, that will have one of the best user interface and experience, and people will definitely come back to say, oh, we enjoyed using your product, we enjoyed buying or getting involved in this. Oh, this is awesome, this is beautiful. How do we get such awesome feedbacks? Then we need to go through the UX process, all right? And one of the very important process we will talk about today is what is called a design sprint. A design sprint basically is a process or time-bound process, yes, I would say, with 5 phases, typically spread over 5 full 8 hours day. Let me come again. a design sprint is a time-bound process with 5 phases, typically spread over 5 full 8-hour days, which means a design sprint is like a marathon, a 5-day marathon workflow that you do on a particular project to ensure that you're able to bring it from ideation into a launchable product. All right. So let's go deeper into what a sprint is all about. The goal of design sprint is to solve a critical problem, a critical design challenge through designing, prototyping, and testing ideas with user. The sprint is a 5-day process. Like I said earlier, it's a 5-day stretch and 8 hours a day, minimum of 8 hours a day, answering critical questions or business questions through design, prototyping, and testing. And interestingly, the goal of this design sprint basically is to solve critical design challenge through designing, prototyping, and testing ideas with users. I think I've said this earlier, and it's going to be 5 days. Now, design sprint is used to answer questions in order to define product directions, in order to figure out cross-team strategies and to build team culture. So apart from trying to build prototypes and testing ideas with user, it also helps to answer and define product directions and how to figure out some team strategies and also to build a culture in the environment or for that product. Now, in design sprints, I know some of us might still be looking like, what's design sprint? It just look like a big word, but it's something that we will understand, or something that many of us even do, all right? But we just do it on our own, not professionally, all right? So design sprints include 5 phases, and it's number 1 is understand. The next one is ideate, decide, prototype, and test. So now I'm going to just mention each one of these points so that we could understand better and have a deeper dive into what they actually means. All right. So now the first one is understand. Understanding the idea, understanding the problem. When you understand the problem at hand, it will be easier. It will be very easy for you to suggest a viable solution, a solution that is going to be good enough to overcome, to solve the problem. All right. And then when you understand a particular problem and you're able to define that problem, it will be easier for you to know the next thing to do. Because without understanding the problem, I believe you will just be you'll be looking to do the wrong thing. So understanding the problem at hand and being able to define that problem, that, okay, let me just take, for instance, let me use a more realistic example. Let's say for a particular product let me take an e-commerce application for an example. Let's say you have a product, an e-commerce website. Maybe you sell clothes, or you sell child stuff, or whatever thing you sell. And on that particular platform, people can make orders. But maybe one way or the other, because of, you're just trying to launch and all of that, there is no way for the user to make, there is just one way, one payment option for the user. All right. Maybe the only option you have on the platform is just for them to use their credit card. And some people have other means of making transactions aside from credit card. There are several other means you can make online payments without even using a credit card. So like, oh, how do I make all of this? And even on some websites, I've worked with some people that they asked me to have options of making payments with cryptocurrencies. Do you understand? So these are some of the things you need to understand. And when there are some of those options, some people might back out maybe at the checkout point and be like, oh, maybe I'm not carrying my card at the moment. They just maybe check, stop at the cart level and they didn't check out eventually. So that's another thing. You need to understand, why is this happening? Maybe you are having too much of people abandoning their carts. You just check the abandoned cart to see that it's just there, and you need to wonder, why is this happening? Like, you have people come, if you could do all the stress to convince people to come to the website, and they even select some products to buy, and eventually they get to the cart, the checkout option, and they are not even taking action. They are not making payments. That calls for reconsiderations, and for you to try to understand what is causing this problem. All right. And it's like that for every product. When there is a challenge, when there is an issue, you need to first understand why. Now, if you don't sit down to understand why, you will just be pumping money again to make people to come around, and you would not, the same thing will repeat itself, the same error will keep repeating itself, and you just realize that people come and they abandon their carts. People come, but when you check the statistics, you check the what's it called now? The analysis of how things are running, the number of people that came in, the number of people that made purchases, the number of people that got to the sign up page, the number of people that got to check out, the number of people that abandoned their cart, and all of that. You could tell if something is wrong somewhere, and you could easily sit down and find out what is really wrong here, what's going on. And when you understand what's going on, it's just the beginning. You are able to define what the problem is. And once you're able to define the problem, then, of course, the next thing is for you to know what next to do. All right. So the first day of design sprint, I said is a 5-day. The first day of a design sprint is for you to understand the problem. All right. For you to also share business goals and assumptions and fears. Okay, if it's an existing business or an existing product, you try to understand, or you try to understand the problem. Or if you are trying to add a new feature, it's not all the time that you're trying to solve a problem. I mean, it's not all the time that you're having issues. Sometimes you just want to add a new feature that you want your users to enjoy. All right, so you need to sit down and know how to go about it. So one of the things you do is you try to sit down, understand what people need, and understanding is just the key point here. All right. So, and the next one is for you to also to sketch, all right, or ideate. Is either they are still the same thing, sketch or ideate. But before that, I think I'm skipping something. What makes a design sprint so useful? I'll come back to the process again, just hold on. What makes a design sprint so useful? Number one, it saves time. With a sprint, your team can cut the decision-making process from several months to a single week, because you will have different professionals sit down and table the matter table the matter before them and address what needed to be done on that particular product launch or product improvement. Now, the sprint also creates an effective path to bring a product to market. Sprint prioritize the users, putting their needs front and center. And like we have been saying since the beginning of this class, that user is at the center of every product that you want to launch or any product you want to improve. The end user is at the center of everything, because they are the one that you are looking forward to give out the product, you're targeting the product to. So then that's why they are important in the decision making at every stages, at every stage of your product launch, or trying to add a feature to a product. And another thing is that sprint allows you to fast forward into the future to test your product and get customer reaction before making any expensive decision. And of course, you don't have to, it's a way to test run your ideas without spending all of your money yet, because some people will pour out money on a particular idea they have not tested. And eventually, if it didn't work, they end up losing all of their money. So running a design sprint is like using a superpower. And interestingly, like I said, you can find out whether your customers want your product or they want a particular feature that is okay, or a feature is worth developing, or simply whether your idea is valid way before you invest millions of dollars into it. So it's highly important, a very important thing that we need to go through. But of course, it's not all of the time that we need to use design sprints. Of course, in some advanced way, there are other things, other strategies we could apply, not just design sprint. But I'm just trying to let us know so that sometimes when you hear about design sprint, you may not be like, what does design sprint mean? What does it work and all of that? So this is what it means. And this is our approach towards it. And another good objective of sprint is accessibility, the viability of an idea or business model. Accessing the viability of an idea or business model, it helps us to rediscover and the right feature for a product. Because the thing is, at a point, when you launch a product, users are looking forward for the next thing. Of when they have been using, they are getting used to something over time. There is this hunger for what next? We need something more. We need the next thing to be added. So, and that is what will still bring some people on board. So that's why adding a feature, a right feature, Sprint helps us to discover that. And redesigning a specific area of a product, Sprint also helps us in discovering, doing those things as well. And also, if you want to start a project from scratch, you can also work it through the Sprint way. And also, it also helps to create a roadmap for the minimum viable product that you want to launch out there. So you access the product, you access the idea, you do a lot of testing before you eventually put so much energy, so much money and resources into it, right? And also it helps us to engage new audiences. It helps us to engage new audiences. All right. So, but let me quickly explain the 3 weeks. I don't think I have those ones here, but I think I can quickly explain this. Let me go back to the slide. So day one, like I said, is for the understanding the process and understanding the problem. All right. So once you understand what the problem is, the second day is the process you go through the second day is going to be based on what you did the first day. All right. Being able to understand what the problem is, of course, you have been able to, let's say the day one was Monday. All right. So the input on Monday and a quick analysis of the problem is what we are now going to use to develop structure on how we are going to work out and provide solution to the problem that we have defined the first day. So in short, the day two is for ideation, which means you generate ideas and sketch out solutions based on what you have been able to find out the first day. So once you're able to do that, you will have loads of different ideas. Of course, there is no limit to you work based on quantity of the ideas at this point. All right. You have plenty of ideas and you sketch out the solutions and all of that. Once you have that, then on the third day, you now have this is when you now decide the best solution and create storyboarding. So on day three, you are going to choose the winning ideas. And once you are able to decide the winning idea, you are going to have a storyboard. And what is a storyboard is just having a clear overview of the user flow and different scenarios. All right. You have like a live demonstration of how that thing is going to work. So, and once you're able to do that, you, of course, day one, define the problem, ideate on ideas to go about the problem. Then this one, you have been able to select the best idea that you want and have a quick overview of how the idea will run. Then the next thing is on the fourth day is that you prototype. And this is, of course, going to be with the help of the UX team. Now, at this point that I'm talking about from day one, we have different people that are going to be working here. Now, of course, day one is going to be one of the people that are going to be working in day one is UX researchers, because research is part of how we understand the problem. They are going to look into what is causing the problem, do a lot of research, and find out what the problem is. That's when you can now provide solution, because without having the proper information, you can't even know what the problem is all about. So, of course, a lot of professionals are going to be working. It could be in terms of finance. We could have financial experts, business experts, and so many people working together to achieve these results. Then the fourth day, that's when we, work together with the UX people, and all we do here is prototyping and preparing the product ready for test. All right. preparing the product to be tested the next day, which is going to be like the final day. All right. So by the end of the 4th day, all the screens, the modeling, the live display of the product are already ready. The prototypes are ready. Then the 5th day is for you to test. All right. And of course, this is meant to validate all the things you have started from the 1st day to the 4th day. This is where you now validate the process and see whether what you have been able to come up with from day 1 is valid with the target users. All right. So one of the first part of the 5th day is about testing the prototype with several users by running interviews. Yes, by running interviews, and then we analyze some of the features, ask people to use the product, test it, give them ideas on, okay, how do you see this? What are the things you are able to use? Then from their feedback, we could tell whether the idea we have been able to come up with is going to be useful and enjoyable or not. So that's just the run through of the 5 days of sprint. All right. So that's just the run through of the 5 days of the sprint, and which is very, very important. Now, what makes a design sprint so useful? Number one, it saves time. And I've mentioned this earlier. With a sprint, your team can cut the decision-making process, blah, blah, blah. And sprint also create an effective path to bring a product to market. Since sprint prioritizes users, putting their needs front and center. All right. And you see, I've always been mentioning the user. And that's because the user is the goal here. The user is, the very important people that we are actually working towards to satisfy. All right. So I'm going to skip this because I think I've mentioned it in the earlier slides. Okay. Now let's talk about this UX research, because one of the key principles of design sprint is UX research. The research part is very, very important, very, very important, and that's why we have a specialty of the product design called the UX researchers. The UX researchers, basically, they are the one to get the information that we are going to be making use for decision making. All right. And as you can see on your screen, user-centered design requires user approach. User-centered design requires user research, a proper user research. And it's important to design effective and memorable user experiences. It is impossible to design effective and memorable user experiences if you have not placed user rights at the heart of your design process. So it's going to be difficult, as we have been shouting user. It's going to be difficult for you to develop or create something effective and memorable for the user, or something enjoyable, or something that is equitable for the user, without having the proper understanding of who the user is, and what the user wants, and how to approach them. All right. So now, before embarking on the design phase of any project, it is critical to undertake some research, so that the decision you make are undertaken from an informed position, from an informed perspective. All right. You don't just make decision based on guesswork and feel like, oh, I guess this is what is meant to be done. I guess no. You don't do more of guesswork here. You work based on informed information. You informed details. So, and the first thing you do is you start with the goal and clearly define and work back from that. So now I'm going to show us I'm going to show us how we go through the research process, but in a UX context, a research study is a step-by-step examination of a group of users and their needs, which adds realistic context to the design process. Let me take, I think I used an example of Google Map last week. All right. Now, the idea is you want people to be able to find their way around places that they don't even know about. All right. Or let me take Google Drive as an example. You want people to be able to keep things for a longer time, right? In the cloud. Of course, people get, your hard drive can corrupt, you can miss your file on your computer, maybe knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally or not intentionally. Anything can happen to your computer. It could be stolen, anything. But when you have your drive, I mean, your document saved on the drive, one of the first things you have access to is that one of the first benefit is that the file is going to be there for as long as you can. Nobody can steal into that thing except to release your password, or you are careless with the password to your Google Mail account. Right now, they made it in such a way that number one, it's going to be, your files are going to be there. Number two, you could easily share some of the files with some specific set of people. All right. I saw some of the new features that have been added to Google Drive, and I was really wowed. I was like, wow, this is amazing. All right. You can keep some things private. You can decide who you share with. You can do a whole number of things. You can organize it. It's just like having a shelf in your house or a wardrobe in your house that you are keeping, that you can allow people to access a place, give people access to a place. You don't give people access to a particular place. It's just or having many rooms in your house, and you decide what is inside each one of them and who have access to each one of them. You can have a guest room, you can have your personal room where you have your things, you have your own things, and you can have the public place where everybody can go and do anyhow and all of that. So that's how they did it, and it's such a wonderful experience. Everybody's enjoying it, everybody's using it, and everybody's loving it. Of course, they are not sitting down, they are still working to ensure that they create something even with more features and more things that we can enjoy. All right, so UX research adopts various methods to uncover problems and design opportunities. Now, as I've been mentioning physical products. There are, I mean, these digital products. This also applies to physical products. Of course, it could be that you're trying to launch a particular, okay, like I was using an example here in Nigeria. There is a particular product called, what's the name of this liquid wash? Yeah, there's a particular product here called Morning Fresh. It's a liquid dishwashing product, and it gained popularity recently. I mean, like not quite recently, but in the past few, like about 4 years or 3 years, right to this time now, the product really, there was a surge, there was a boom in their market. All right, and I also saw their advert recently, and they said Nigeria's number one dish washing liquid soap. And you see, it's that, and that's actually the truth. You know, here people are looking forward to a dishwashing, because it's not everybody that can be using this bar soap or this powdered thing to wash the plate. Those ones are not good enough to be used to wash a plate. All right. So for dishwashing, they needed something that is going to be more simple to use, easy to use. If you look at it right from the packaging to everything, one of the things that I try to look at the packaging sometimes ago, and I really love it. The packaging is such a way that you don't even have to open the bottle. You know, people tend to lose bottle covers of bottles and all of that. To use the product, you don't need to open the cover. Just there's a way the bottle has been designed such that you just, you know, pull it up. You can pour the little you want inside the plate or the dish and press it down to cover it up again, and that's it. You can easily pour it. You can easily do all manners of things. And over time, it gained such huge popularity, and everybody was buying and buying. And you can see it literally in every house, in every home. And I'm sure that is one of their goals, to ensure that every home has access to it. They did different sizes for people. They did the small sizes. I mean, the small size, the medium size, the bigger sizes for big. So that's how they did it. And everyone was really enjoying it. And you see people today, even when some other people want to buy other, I mean, that's a dish washing soap. that is not Morning Fresh, they still call them Morning Fresh because that name has stick into people's hearts. The product name has stick. So, you know, we will still have other competitors. You know, they'll be like, this thing is good. Let's also do our own. They did their own. And of course, they still have people buying them, maybe because they are much cheaper or something. But Morning Fresh has been able to gain people's heart, and people still call other products Morning Fresh. They don't even look at the name of that. They still call them Morning Fresh. All right. That's what I'm saying. And one other thing that they did recently is that they were able to still package it in. There's a way they did another packaging that I saw recently, and I really like about the product. So they keep working, maybe organizing sprints to work on how do we move on to what's the next thing that we need to do. How do we make this accessible to the middle class, the lower class, and the upper class people? And that's just it. So that's an example of a physical product. And even to the digital product as well, is it that you want to you want to have a platform whereby people can come to buy stuff, or you want to have a platform whereby you want to be training people, or you want to have a platform whereby you want to be mentoring people about something that you do professionally, but you need an online platform, a digital platform whereby you can set it up professionally, whereby you can reach out to as many people as possible. People can ask you for personal sessions, and you know, you can do all manners of things. You know, all the map has to be drawn out. You need to understand what people are facing, the problem people are facing, and why you are coming in. Then that will help you to define strategically your approach. Because at that way, you would have been able to define the problem that the people are facing, whether it's a digital problem or a physical product problem. You would have been able to discover the problem, and then you know what next to do. All right. So that's it. Then so in design, in doing so, they review valuable information which can be fed into the design process. All right. So in UX research study, there are 4 different approaches. You know, there are always approaches and all of that when it comes to product design and UX research, because all these things are what contribute to the success of launching a product. It's not just about having the money to put into a product launch or all of those things. There is more into it. It's just like you are wanting to have a guest in your house, and you employ the service of an event planner, all right? Or you trying to do it all by yourself. You know, there's going to be a difference, because the event planner is trained and experienced in how to do things properly. They have a framework on how to do things. So there is a way they will approach it, and the experience is going to be sweet. Like everyone is going to feel at home. Everyone is going to feel comfortable. Everyone is going to enjoy everything. No one is going to be burdened with unnecessary stress and all of that. Things will move smoothly as if it was really that smooth. Of course, a lot of stress was actually being undergone in the background, but it's not everybody that will see that. So, and it's actually because they have been able to sit down, count the costs, do their research, and know what approach is best to solve this particular problem. So the 4 approach to a UX research study is: number 1, you plan the study. You plan the study. Number 2, you conduct the research. And number 3, you analyze and synthesize the results. And number 4, you share and promote the insights. Now, I'm going to do a quick breakdown of all these points so that we can understand it better. I believe everybody is listening to me. Are we getting, or do we have a question?
We're listening. Thank you.
Yeah, you're listening. Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing is you try to you plan to study, and this is the planning is trying to the idea is you are outlining the background of the project. You have a clear-cut understanding by writing down the questions you want to answer. All right, and it will help you to establish what to research into. All right, so you have a pen. You can see the icon is pen here. You are able to pen down the points. all right, you are able to write down the questions you want to answer for the people. Maybe there has been an ongoing question, how can we do this? Like I was telling somebody, he wants to develop an application that can allow people to make orders for a dry cleaning agency to come pick up their clothes and deliver at the right time. All right, so there's going to be an app that people can easily go on their phone and just make a call or just drop a message, and you of course you're going to sign up on the app. So once you sign up, you can drop a pickup point for your clothes. So the pickup people will come and pick up the clothes, and they will give you a timing for the delivery. And once the delivery is ready, they give you a call and you select a destination where they can drop the clothes for you. And you don't even need to, it's a contactless service whereby you just do everything. Everything is going to be done for you. Your clothes is going to be well iron starched and, dry cleaned for you. And you don't even need to see anybody. You don't need to go because some people are so much busy that they don't have that bulk of time to be doing the washing or to even pick up clothes to go and drop. Sometimes for people, it's always a problem. So some people want that comfortability whereby they just like some of us do today, we make orders for, just like some of us do on Amazon. What do you think Amazon is doing? Amazon, as big as it is, and is one of the biggest online markets. All right. You go there, you order for things, and it's being delivered to your door. And that's the joy. That's the joy. And the experience is quite seamless. You just go, make orders, make payments, and the next thing you expect it to be delivered to you. And you can track the progress of how the thing is being going. The day is going to get to your place. You can choose the location where it will get to. So that's the problem you're solving there. And let me tell you, before you see that process you just saw when you go online, order and get to you, that thing you just saw, a lot of research had gone on in the background to ensure that process was seamless, to ensure that process was that sweet and smooth.
Thank you, Timmy. You've just given me a business idea. The laundry app is really amazing. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was speaking to a friend. She lives in Kent. And one of the things we were talking about is having an app for laundry services, because we all want convenience. We want easy, fast, Yes. And with COVID and all of that, it's made a lot of people realize that we don't need to physically drive somewhere. Although in my area, there's a company that comes to pick, but we're still doing it manually, like calling them, and booking. So the booking app for laundry is really great. And if one can have a coverage across, having different laundry companies signing off, that would be really cool. So thank you for that example.
All right, Ma. So with the first one, the planning, that's where you're able to set goals that you want to achieve. You work on planning and all of that. Then the next one is the research. All right. So once you're able to plan out, you have your points stated out already. Then you do a research, you gather data. All right. And you do something called usability study. And the goal here is to assess how easy it is for users to complete a particular task. You try to find out how easy it is for a user. That's usability test, basically. Usability study. Usability study is about trying to find out how easy it is for a user to complete a task. All right. So you want to see that is this particular thing easy for the user to use, or they are struggling with it. So that's usability test. So one of the things you do in research is to know what usability study of that product is. And also you get to, when you do your research, of course, you will be able to know a lot of things. That's why research is also very important. You get to know a lot of things. You get to know, you get to identify pain points that the user experiences of maybe the design you have currently is having for the people. Are people enjoying the thing, or they are just struggling, they're just managing to use it? Or is there an expectation from the people that is not being met yet? All right. So those are some of the things you try to find out. Like I would say, there is always an improvement in every feature, in every product. It's an iteration process. You keep improving and improving. Like I always tell people, WhatsApp that we have today is not the same one we have when they launched. When WhatsApp started, there was nothing like status. All right. There was nothing like video call at that time. And even the video call of a thing, now you have video call expanded to about 5 people or thereabout, I can't remember, or maybe 8 people. And when it started, it was just about 2, I think it was 3 people they started with. And now it has extended to even have accommodating more people. And now you have status. And now you have, now when WhatsApp started, there was nothing like WhatsApp business. All right. But when they were able to sit down at some point, they realized that people are not just using contact. People don't have contact for personal alone. They have businesses that runs on contact, that runs phone numbers. That, you know, WhatsApp is all about phone numbers and all of that. So there are business lines too that is not personal. So how do you address that? So they launched another one, which is called WhatsApp Business, that allows you to have even more things, more opportunities, more features for business, strictly for businesses. There is one for individual, for personal use. There is another one for businesses. And for the one for businesses, you can see, if you have used it before, you see it has catalogs, it has where you can put your phone number, address. It has so many things that even if you're offline, you can even set an autoresponder that when people send a message, it gives them, okay, maybe you are offline, says you're offline, you can reach us, blah, 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 blah. You can set all of those things. And of course, you don't really need that when you are doing the personal, you're using the personal line. You don't really necessarily need that. So they did that one for WhatsApp Business. So you can easily differentiate between the personal one and the business one. So that's what I'm talking about. They were able to research and see what next. What do we need to do? Are these people looking forward to enjoy? What do they need next? And even this status of a thing, you see a lot of people create awareness about their new launch, their new product. All right. And it's easier for you to reach your customers, people that have been able to purchase from you or have been able to get connected with you via contact. You can easily reach them on WhatsApp and, you know, show them the new product launch easily. You understand? So that's how it is. And it's always like, I don't want to be mentioning different products that and they keep improving on their things, but there are quite a number of them that you can see around you as well. Some of the things you use today, you could see how it has how they are improving over time. And those improvements does not just happen. A lot of research work or a UX research study went into all of those things before you see it happen like that. All right. So in the research area, that's when you conduct a lot of interviews, if necessary. You conduct interviews, you see how users, and also the usability study I was talking about is it will allow you to see how users interact with your product in real life. And so even in the research, there are sometimes you even pay people to use your product just to see what's going on. Like some people even run hats. Although that one is for testing, actually. They run hats to bring people on board to test a product, to use it. Of course, they will not tell them that they're trying to do this, that it's a prototype or something, but it's just one of the strategies used for people to come on board to test a particular product. And they will get, as they are using it, they are getting feedbacks, they are getting responses, they are getting to see what's going on. So all of those things, if they see that, oh, this thing, we need to work on it, they make sure that all of those things are done before they eventually pour in the millions of nairas and dollars to now, you know, make the product to go into the wider market. So the next one is synthesize or analyze. And basically, when you have been able to plan, you make your research. This is where you now fine tune the research information. All right, the results the data you're able to collect from the research. This is where you work on them. All right, and you can use either there's something called in the research process, we use quantitative and qualitative data framework, right? And of course, when you are able to do that, you know what is what, which one has to be which. If you see regular repeating patterns in some of the things they are talking about, of course, you know it calls for an attention to work on that one. Then the last stage is the share. Now, and the share stage is where you share the old thing, the old project, the insight of the project with stakeholders. Now, what do I mean by stakeholders? the word stakeholder that I use is not just people that are putting in money. All right, they could include designers, the software engineers, the UX designers, the people who are going to really work to make the project to come to life. All right, you share those things with them, and they will be able to help you. They will help you to vet the ideas, and they will share. You share those insights with them so that they can also see how it works. Now, you can do it in form of presentation as well. So once you do it in form of presentation, you know, the stakeholders are going to be there. You know, you're actually using their bulk of experiences to be able to refine what you have done. All right. You can do it in form of a presentation whereby you show them the kind of research process you use, how you were able to collect information, and the conclusions you were able to make based on the data you got. And maybe you have already made a recommendation for you, recommendation from the information you got. You let them know so that they can see, all right, whether there is a stronger connection between between your research conclusions and your recommendations, or maybe the stakeholders need to take actions different from what you have proposed, or they will just try to work with what you have proposed already. All right, so that's why it is very, very important to do all of these things. They might look like something you can ignore, but really they are very, very necessary when it comes to research. So it's part of the UX research study, very, very essential. All right, and don't forget one of the key things I said about a usability study. All right, usability study, you get to see how easy it is for a user to interact with your product or with your design. So it's very, very important. Then let's see why we need to use UX research study. Let's see why we need to use it. Oh, I think I was talking about this the other time. I was talking about, I think I've explained all of this. I've explained this. But let me just say this, why it is important to do UX research study. Number one is that it helps us to gain understanding of users' problem and how to solve them. That's one of the number one thing. It helps us to have a quick understanding of what is, just like Mrs. Babajide said, you know, like there are people that they just want this comfortability. That's it. Not that they are not enjoying the services that they have been enjoying, but they still want something that is much more easier. Some people, they have the money to spend for all of those things. They just need the service, the product to be on ground. They have they have just been expecting that, can we have something like this? Can we just have someone who can just bring up something like this? That's all. So far it addresses what they have been thinking in their heart, or the problem they have been trying to solve. That's the end. So you just need to work on how to make it a reality, and you have a market for it already. So the UX study helps us to know the user's problem and the best approach to it. And number two is that it also helps us to bridge. It helps us to bridge business gaps. Yes, it helps us to bridge business gap between the users, all right, and the product. It helps us to bridge the gap between the users and the product, all right, and also it helps us to cut down how do I even put this now? It helps us to cut down what we think a business is. Let me see how I can better put this.
So it helps us to cut down waste. So if you look at a typical example, one of my clients, they wanted a logistics app because currently the delivery time is not suitable for them. So they are a company in Northampton, and they have reps that delivers their products. Okay. So at this point in time, a lot of people use Amazon to buy stuff, cosmetics and stuff like that. And Amazon offers next day delivery. It offers weekend. So maybe I'm not around weekdays and I want, so you can actually select the days that you want. But these organizations, they're still living in the Stone Age because whoever they're working with that's supplying them the logistics will say, okay, we can't do next day, we can't do weekend, we only do X, Y, and Z. So part of what we did as a team was to speak to the representatives. What are your pain points? What is the issue that you are having? They said they're not making sales. Why? Because the delivery time is very rigid, it's not flexible. So according to what Timmy told us now, we needed to do a research, find out there were other things that were now coming up. Like, okay, even when they deliver it, they'll just leave it anywhere and the rain will fall on it and the product is being thrown anyhow. So it's very, very important before we know we have a problem statement. Okay, logistics is not working, right? But there are actually other fundamental issues like how these people are treating their products. Okay, nobody to sign. Do we want somebody to actually sign for it? And some people were saying that there are no tracking. I don't even get notification. I might be at the shop and somebody is telling me, oh, I've just dropped your goods somewhere. So they wanted notification. If we didn't speak to them, we would just think, okay, they just want flexibility in delivery. That is one of the issues, but not all of it. So before we come up with a product, or before we solve any problem, that is why UI UX is beyond okay, tech alone. It can be anything. Do your research. You know, in my company, we build websites and mobile app for people, etc. But people just have an idea. Maybe God planted it in them, or I don't know, and they just want to run with it. It doesn't work that way. And I keep saying, have you done your research? They'll be like, yes. Halfway through, they realize, okay, then the requirements start to change. And each time you're changing your requirements, it's a cost because you have not told me about it before. So for us as user researchers, we need to understand and do a full scope of this issue, talk to these people, get everything, even if it's an abstract. You can do, they do focus groups, you can even post anonymously, but you must do research. In fact, some people, when we're doing this prototyping thing, will go to, if it's a retail product, you go to your shopping mall, you start talking to people. I'm sure you've experienced it where they will stop you, ma'am, have you got a minute? We're doing this, you know, they do research, you know, and off the back of that, you know, Timmy was saying that we need our stakeholders. Somebody needs to sign it off. Whoever is the sponsor of that project will now say, okay, you've answered my question. This is what I want. And it needs to be baselined. For you as a UI UX designer, make sure you get that approval, because they will come back tomorrow and say, oh, how about this? Oh, you didn't add that. But I showed you, and that is why we do something called prototype. Prototyping is showing them a simulation of what that whatever product is going to look like. So I've presented it to you and you've approved it and you say, this is what you want. Anything outside of that is change of scope. And I cannot just change it. I need to go and research again. Why? Because if I change something, it can break something else. So I have to still do something called impact assessment of that new thing that you're bringing in. And everybody that's impacted must be made aware. So if you're in a project environment where you're working, just remember that you're not working in isolation. And if it's your business, make sure that when somebody's designing something for you, you want to be part of that conversation. So whether you're an entrepreneur or you're looking to get into a career with this UI, UX or product design, at least now you know the questions to ask, now you know what you expect, depending on whichever side of the coin you are sitting on, whether you're actually the stakeholder or you're the one that is doing the doing. I hope that has helped to explain it a little bit more. So the sprint that he's talking about is just like a sprint is a short sprint, short burst. Imagine if you're on a race and they say, let's do a sprint. That is what it is. It's a very short burst of activity to get you to somewhere. You know, it's not the end. At the end of it, you want to come up with a minimum viable product, MVP, something small that you can try out. Like they say, don't go too big too quick, so that you test the market and then you start to add more features and you start to increase and improve the business or the product. So I just thought I should add that bit to it. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. So I believe we all of us, we are still following. So these are very vital to any of our work as a UX expert, as a product designer, is very, very important. And I'm sure by now, we must have been gaining insights into how we approach product design and development now. We must have been able to have a better understanding of how we approach it. That it's not just, just jump into it and you don't know what next happens and all of that. No, there is a proper way to address things. There's a proper way to approach people, because the people who are working, the product you are designing is not just for robots. It's for people. It's for human being. And you can imagine, human being are one of the best, the most dangerous, the most difficult people to satisfy. All right, yeah, the most difficult people to satisfy. So, like they say, human wants, they are just unlimited. Human needs are unlimited. So people are always, human beings are looking for different things at different times, and you be like, oh, how do I even satisfy these people? And that's why we need to do our homework very well before we do go into all of that. All right. So that's just it. So why is conducting US research is about important? I think I've mentioned this. So now let's talk about the research landscape. Research landscape. So usually you can get we have two different approach. We have the attitudinal and we have the behavioral approach to user research. All right. So the attitudinal way, is is the one that you have to physically listen, and you have to listen and hear from the users. All right, it's more of hearing from what the user is saying, getting the feedback from them. Where behavioral is, you are able to see from your own lens the observation of and observe what the user is going through while using your product. You're able to observe under your own lens what they are going through. Why the attitudinal is, you listen from maybe from afar, you get to understand, okay, what are these people feeling? What are they saying about me? What are they saying about this particular thing? All right. So that's really very important. All right. It could even be in terms of the marketing. It could be in so many ways. All right. So there are different approaches to all of these things. And I remember, there was a time Coca-Cola, they were trying to introduce, there was a time they introduced a particular, they introduced Zero Coke. No, it wasn't, I think they introduced one. There's a particular, one of their varieties that they introduced at that time that I'm not quite seeing again, because people really didn't, flow along, all right? I can't remember the name, but I saw it at that time. They introduced one particular variety, and you see, and even because human beings are different, we are different in a lot of ways. You could see them have different tastes for different people. All right. Different, you see people, they'll say, okay, me, I like Coca-Cola. Some people say I like malts, I like this, I like that. We all have different tastes. Many people, different users with their different tastes. And that's why, and if you conduct a research and see, okay, why did you like this? You will hear so many things. You will see so many things that you'll be like, wow. And you'll really be wowed and be surprised at why people make decisions, some of their decisions. So, and that's why it's really very important for us to go through all of this. So your user research should give you insight into some insight into the answers to these questions. Number one, what do your users want to get done? What's their goal? What are they trying to achieve? And that's why it's critical to understand user research right at the beginning of the project, because this will help you to define the scope of the project, what exactly it is you are doing, and the goal, which is the intention of doing that particular thing. Note this, it is dangerous to design based on your assumptions, which often are not necessarily correct. Like they will say that the assumption is the lowest form of understanding. Assumptions is very dangerous. Don't just leave the whole of the life cycle of a product on assumption, it's going to be a bigger risk. Of course, everything is about risk, but that kind of risk is even worse because it's something you know and you are still jumping into it. So you don't even want to take that kind of risk. That's why it's important not to work based on assumptions. All right, don't work on assumptions. Then let's talk about this research landscape. We talk about qualitative and quantitative research. Now, quantitative research is primarily undertaken to test your assumptions. It is useful to help you shape your thinking and to establish ideas, which can be built and tested using quantitative method. All right. So when you have ideas that maybe you want to launch, now the quantitative research will help you to shapen that ideas more, to have maybe you just have an idea of creating an online class for children or something. Now, when you are able to use quantitative research, it will be able help you to shapen it it will just take it out of that broad form to a more clear and clear-cut picture, so that you could know, okay, if you are addressing what are they going to be doing there, what are they learning there, what are they going to, how long are they going to be there, how do they get on board, is it going to be everybody that have access to it, what age range are you looking forward to, all of those things, and how are you going to involve the parent as well, because of course without the kids can't just get on board without the parent being involved, because literally it's the parent. Even if you are running advert for any of the children stuff, even though the product is for kids, the advert is actually for both people. The parent has to see the advert as well, for them to see, okay, oh, this thing will be useful for my child. So I think I will recommend this for my child. My child can be a part of this. All right. That's what we're talking about. I was speaking with one of the managers of uLearning app. I don't know if anyone knows what I've heard about uLearning before. It's more here in Nigeria, but uLearning is more of an online classes for kids, for children. They made it in form of an application whereby children can have access to taking classes and taking their subjects online. Now, the way they did it is not just the regular class. They try to make it so much accessible and in such a way that whenever a child, let's say the child wants to do mathematics, for an instance, the child can also be assigned to an instructor online that can begin to communicate with the child, because they have instructors at different virtual instructors literally everywhere. So an instructor can be assigned to each student that will monitor the growth and the progress of that particular child. Not just leaving the child alone to be watching videos and all of that, but there is an instructor that is linked with each child, and that they can easily connect with for their learning journey. And during this summer, for instance, now they also create physical centers as well. Apart from the virtual centers, time that they are on holidays, or for some students that can afford to leave school and still go there, those physical centers are meant for them to come. They will have access to computers for free. They will have access to internet to do their training, their classes. And of course, it's going to be an interesting, there's not going to be distraction, because one of the things they said is that most times some children, when they're at home, there are always distractions and all of that. But this one, there's not going to be distraction. There's going to be full focus on what you are there to do. A lot of strategies still going on the platform, but I'm just using that as an example of how you can streamline your ideas into something that can be tested and using quantitative method. Now, I'm going to be talking about 3 quantitative research methods in this class, which are 3: surveys, questionnaires, analytics, and A/B testing. Now, I just mentioned quantitative research. Qualitative research is the one I just want to talk about. Now, the quantitative is you having that broad idea and you're trying to streamline it. Then this other one is having that idea and you are going through different method in order to collate the right point so that you can make your final decision. All right. Now, if you, those ones, the things, the slide is not here. But let me just explain this. Surveys. You can actually use surveys, online surveys. You just ask people to complete a survey. It could be as in form of Google form. It could be on a particular, there are websites that you can use to convert to develop a survey that people can fill. All right. People just go through the survey. It's not going to be something too long. Just some basic questions, ask them to complete those questions. And when you get those responses, you can know what to do. Maybe you get responses from 1,000 people or 500 or 200 people, or even if it's 100 people, depending on the coverage that you can reach, it will help you to do a whole number. And another one is questionnaires. You can also use questionnaires to get data and research information from people. Now you can use analytics as well to get how people are responding. You know, analytics is used at different levels. Is used in even if you are running as small as marketing is, online marketing is. For instance, I sometimes I do I run ads for some products myself. I run ads for some products, and when I try to run ads, I try to always look at the analytics, because when you are running adverts, of course, you are going to be targeting some set of people. For instance, sometimes I'll target people in Nigeria, and I will say I will streamline the, Nigeria is wide, so you can't just target everyone in Nigeria, else you just be wasting your money. I'll not take it down to, I'll make the target to, I'll make it smaller and say, okay, maybe I'm targeting working class people. I can target working class people between the ages of 25 to 55. I can say, okay, those are the, or let's say 25 to 45. I can target those set of people, and I can say, okay, I can get their demographic. I can say, okay, I want people that are interested in tech. I want people that are interested in this. I want people that are interested in that. So I can choose all of the things that I want and throw out the thing. Then I'll be getting the feedback of how everything is moving. I can know how many people between the ages of 20 to 25 are running. And even in the advert thing, that will take me to A/B testing. There's something called A/B testing also in adverts. When you're running an advert or doing marketing, which also applies to the research thing that we are talking about in product design. The idea is you are creating two variables. I mean, let me call it variables. I mean, let me just use variables. Two different variables of a single product, or varieties of a single product, and you are pushing it out and see which one gets the most responses. I mean, when it comes to likes and all of that, you're going to create in marketing, you create a version of advert. Maybe you use video in this one and you use picture in the other one. You use a copy. I mean, a copy for one. You change some things in the other one and push out the two of them at the same time. Now, the idea is the two of them are going to be running, and you will be seeing how the two of them are measuring based on number of traction they are getting. And you can tell which one is really converting and which one is not converting well. All right. So that's just the idea of A/B testing. When you have like varieties of of a single product, and you're trying to test which one really enters the market, the one people like and the one people really don't like. Or maybe it's not as if they don't like it, but which one gets people's attention more. So that's the idea of the A/B testing and the analytics thing. So with the analytics and A/B testing, they kind of work together. Then, after doing all of those research, it's not just enough to do the research. It's important to put this research into good use, all right? Because let me take that marketing thing, for instance. When I'm trying to, when I work with some more professional marketing managers, they used to employ different forms to marketing products. They use digital product ways of marketing things. They use traditional ways of marketing things. All right. So we try to see which one, and we try to measure the performance of each one, because the performance we help us to justify our decision at the long run and say, okay, this is what we are going to be able to spend more money on. But at the first point, we try to see, okay, let's just put these three things together. Let's just put these three things. I mean, these three varieties or these two varieties out there and see which one is going to perform better. So the one that performs the most is the one we are now going to say, oh, this one performs excellently well. So let's invest more in this one. So, and that's the goal. It's going to help us to make informed decisions. And there is no much point in doing user research if you are not going to undertake some good old-fashioned analysis. All right. So the essence of doing the research is for us to follow and make use of it. That's the goal. Then quickly, let's talk about some common UX terms that most people, some of us might have come across, or some of us are just getting to hear for the very first time. All right. Now, let me quickly show you something in a moment. Just one moment. Can we all still see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Now, look at this. Of course, this is going to be explained to us in the next class. The next class is going to be purely practical, and I will advise that none of us miss the class, please. This is where we apply most of the things we have been talking about. So now this is a software called Figma, which is going to be introduced to us in the next class. I'm just trying to show us something there, but in order for us to have an idea of what I'm using, that's why I'm saying this. So this is a software called Figma, and it's UI design software, UI UX design software that we are going to be using. And you can see this is actually a website. All right, but this is the beginning. Now this, you can see this is just a quick sketch of what we want. At this stage, this is still an idea. So we're trying to say, okay, we need a website or we need an application. So we're trying to sketch out some of the screens and say, okay, we want this to be here. It's not really a full idea here. We're just trying to do a quick sketch of how it's going to look like. Can you see the desktop version? Can you see the X there? The one, if you see the one that asks X there, it means image, an image. Can you see? So it's going to look like, we just have a quick sketch of how it's going to look like. All right. This stage is called the wireframing stage, where you just do a quick wireframe of how it's going to look like. All right. Now, can you see, this is the feature page, having a quick sketch of, oh, we have a feature page. And when people click on this button here, when they click on more about us here, or so, it goes to the feature page. All right. When people click on the sliders here or something, whatever thing that is here, or the call to action button here, it comes to this place. All right. And down here, we have the copyright, we have the business info and some other things. Now, we also have sitemap as well. And what is a sitemap? It's actually one of the terms I plan to tell us. Sitemap is basically a quick overview of how people run on our website or how people run in app, which is going to show us, okay, when you click on the home page, it takes you to the next page. You can direct people on how they will move on the website, that once they get on the home page, of course, there's going to be some buttons that you want them to click to move them to the next thing. So you can actually guide their movements around the website. You can pre-design their movement around the website. All right. So using the sitemap and another thing called user flow. All right. So you can see the sketch of literally all the pages on the website. You can see the sketch of literally all the pages. Then once we are done sketching all of this, then that's where the work of a UI designer now comes in to translate this thing. Can you see it here? The UI designer is going to translate this into something like this. Can you see this is looking much finer, but this is not our end goal actually. This is the picture that is, this is the design. Can you see? This is the home page. Can you see? Okay, this is the menu here. Can you see the menu? Now look at the way it was here. Can you see the menu here? Can you see all of that? Can you see? But now it looks much clearer, and this is a low fidelity wireframe. I mean, a mid fidelity wireframe. This is low, all right? This can be called like a mid fidelity wireframe. You can see it's still looking, there is no color yet, but it's still looking quite better from what we have initially.
Timmy, sorry to interrupt you. Please go back to that. What did you call it again? Is that this is wireframe, isn't it?
Yes, this is the wireframe. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Of course, I don't want to go deeper into wireframe because it's part of what they will do in the next class. This is just
sorry, what did you say?
There are different ways you can approach a wireframe. So this is a sketch, a quick sketch on paper that was snapped and was, sent into.
Are you breaking up? Timmy? You're breaking up.
Hello, can you hear me?
No, we couldn't, but I can hear you now. You are breaking up intermittently.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I think there's a disrupt in my connection. Okay, so this is a quick sketch wireframe, an sketch wireframe. There are other softwares you can use to do this, but you can still use, if it's a website or an app, you can start with something like this. Then the UI person can now make it more finer and more beautiful and all of that like this, all right? Then you have this. Then you can see this is the process now. Can you see? It's getting to look like what we want. Can you see all of this now? It's getting to look like what we want. And now, this is when it was designed. Can you see? Can you see this now? This is the mobile version. Can you see? Oh, sorry. This thing is not complete. So I don't have the file complete here. Sorry about that. But the goal is I'm trying to show us how it began, how it started from an idea stage. Now, as you are seeing this thing now, it looks like a real website, right? But this is still a prototype. This is what is called a prototype. You understand? It's like an overview of the real one, but it's not the real thing. It's just looking like the product, an overview of the real product. So, and that's how we do approach, even if it is physical product, the same way we approach. And sometimes when people want to design, let's say you want to launch a physical product, say you want to be selling, what is it called now? But let's say a drink. You want to introduce a new carbonated drink or something into the market. There are so many things, of course, you need to do. Even I will sometimes they will come to me and I'll design the packaging. There's a way you approach the packaging design. The packaging design, it's another thing. Because of course, you're not going to be designing user flow. I mean, you're not going to be designing pages for all those ones. But the packaging of a drink itself, it's a branding. It's something that needs to be probably looked into before you launch the product. There is a way you design something that is meant for children. There's a way you design something that is meant for men. And there is a way you design something that is meant for women. And there is a way you design something that is meant for both gender. All right. So there are approaches to all of these things. And you don't just try to do it anyhow. All right. So let me just get back to the other slide. So another one common term is called persona. All right. And this is a general marketing term by nature. Oh, let me make it much clearer. Oh, sorry. Okay, it's a general marketing term by nature and one that seeks to be established. It seeks to establish a clear identity for the target audience. This is especially helpful in UX as it is the user's predictive behavior and desires that affect how a website is to be designed in the first place. So in other words, persona is a representation of target audience so that you are designing for a specific audience instead of a generic one. So this is an example of a target audience now. Can you see this? You try to a persona simply means you have it's like a profile of the people you are designing your product for. All right. It's like a profile of the people you are designing for. You already have their profile, you know what they want and what appeals to them. So you can easily target them. You can see you know their age range, you know their gender, you know quite a number of things about them. And you are able to decide what fits them or what they fit into Can you see? It's so difficult to buy shoes that fit my feet. Can you see this here? So these are some of the informations you try to gather for you to know them better. That's just the quick understanding of persona. Then you also have sitemap, which I've talked about. I just talked about. Sitemap provides with overview of where items exist and how they interconnect. So in the example in the next slide, okay, yeah, I think I have an example in the next slide. There's a simple sitemap which contains home page features and blah blah blah. So it was the exact same website I showed us the other time. Can you see? A quick way of how the sitemap works. Can you see? So that's just that about that. Then we also have prototype. We have been mentioning prototype. If I'm not mistaken, since the beginning of this session, of this cohort. So, and what does a prototype means? It's simply it's simply a preliminary visual mockup that looks like a real app and demonstrates an app's fundamental design and function, but does not contain working code. But does not contain working code. An app prototype can simply be as basic as a skeleton on paper or high fidelity as clickable digital model that works on your phone. Prototype conveys the model and feel of your app, but they are usually not working softwares. They set the stage for the first functioning version of your app, often referred to as minimum viable product. Sorry, let me just see if I can show us a demo of that so that we don't just work in darkness. Let me see. I was trying to show something to some people. Okay, let me show you something. This one. Now look at this. Now this is what's it called now? A taxi app software that allows people to book for cab on their phone. All right, but before the developers will start writing all of these things, because before they start coding this as a real app, this is what is called a prototype. Can you see? These are just designs that have been done on my computer. All right, these are designs. There are different screens for each function of the app. So by the time I play this now, I try to view it as if I'm seeing it on a phone. See the way it's going to look like in just a moment. Okay, let me go to the very beginning. Can you see this now? You can see this looks like a real phone and a real app in a real phone. Let me say it like that. When you click the first time, can you see? The first thing you do is you enter your phone number. And of course, before they can put this as one of the first things, they have a reason why they are actually doing that. Of course, this is not the real app. This is just like a demo. I think the real app is quite different from this. But just showing you something. Look at this. Because phone number is very important when you are connecting to people to taxi or cab. Because when you in Nigeria here, when you want to get a taxi and you order for a ride, the taxi will see that, okay, there's an order and we accept the order and immediately call you to know where exactly you are. All right. So we call you, okay, where exactly are you? If you are close by or you're far away, and you can easily get to chat each other along the line. There's a place they even include when they first started, there was nothing like ability to charge, but when I used it, I used it like last week, and I just saw the driver chatted me and say, I'm on my way. I'll be there in less than 2 minutes. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. So I replied him and said, okay. So we were chatting along the way, and it was because I was able to connect, and he can also call me because I had my phone number connected to the platform. So they will send a verification code. And also the essence of this verification code is to ensure that you are using an active number, not a number that you are not the owner. They want it to be like the number is a line that you use consistently and is always with you. So in case you order for a ride and the driver calls, you are going to be the one to pick it. So they want to confirm. Then you can see that you can easily, it's just a simple step. Can you see this? It looks like a real app, right? Can you see the way I'm clicking and it's working? All right, can go back. But this thing you are seeing here is not a real, it's just a prototype. So this is what I mean by prototype. This is what I mean by prototype. This is not existing yet. It's just a a similitude of what we expect. So it is after we have now done this as a digital product, we can now deploy this to the, we can give this, hand over this to the UX engineers. So it is the UX engineers that will now convert this into a workable code that we can now use on our real phone. You know, this is a virtual phone now. We can't hold this in our hands. All right. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to, and the same thing is for physical product as well. All right. When people are trying to launch a product, if they are trying to, if even like I was using the example of the drink the other time, I would design the shape of the container of the carton, the container of that drink with the way we want it to look, you know, before they now go to the factory they will show them the design, the carving design of everything, the way the cover is going to look like. So it is where they are going to now do the fabrication that they will now design exactly, they will now do it as exactly the way we have designed it on the computer. All right. So it will help because, and there is a decision that we are designing based on informed decision. The positioning of the cover, the positioning of the base, everything. We are doing that based on informed decisions, based on research. We want it to be something that, oh, people will like this. We are not just doing it because we like it like that. It's based on an informed data or information. All right. So that's exactly what I'm trying to explain to us here. I don't know if we really understand it. Also, can you see this now? This is also an example of a prototype, just like I showed us on the screen. All right. So, and you can also use it to pitch this to investors and all of that. They can see how the thing works, show them the research you have done. If you want people to put in money and all of that, it helps as well. So we also talk about pain points. And in short, pain points are the problem users face that create frictions in certain user flows, sorry. So it creates a user-friendly, once a designer identified this, they can create a user-friendly design. So pain points are problems that users are facing that is not making them to be able to enjoy or go freely with the design or with the product. All right. So a UX case study shares how user pain points were dug out and how design solved them, are shown in there's a picture in the next slide. So you can see this is a pain point and the pain point is how to locate and use search to enter common food items. All right. Now before, all right, this is it, 60%, 3/5 users. Now design solution, we are going to emphasize search by popping keyboard up, all right, on add food screen and changing visual hierarchy. So with this, people will be able to easily spot where the search is and they can easily use it. And you can see after that, there was 100% success rate, all right, or maybe 98% success rate. The another one is, this is actually a food app that was, you know, being reviewed. Now, there's another one called Locate Food Progress Page. Showing how the progress is on how you are moving on a page, all right? Then before there was 20% success rate, and now the solution was they moved food progress information to progress tab, and you can see. So there was a tab that was created, new tab that was created, which is progress, and you can track the movement. If it has gotten to this place, you can know how the thing you can track the progress of your order. All right. So using that, so there's a special tab that was dedicated for that, and you can see after that there was success. The success rate was you know really improved. Then we have A/B testing, which I've talked about. I was using the marketing example the other time. The aim is to test different versions of a product simultaneously in order to learn about the differences in their preferences and user behavior. So this is version A and this is variation B. Can you see? So you can see this has a larger influence over compared to this one. So that's why we are going with this one. So it's just having two options and seeing which one would perform better over the other one. Then we also have mood board. Yeah, of course, this is common to UI designers. All right, it's a collection of materials and assets that helps define the specific style for a product. For instance, every product has a particular brand colors that they use. Just like Coca-Cola, they have a shade of red. They don't just use any red. if you see any strange red, you will know that this is not Coca-Cola color. All right. McDonald's, for example, now they have this, you know how their color is now. All right. Their yellow color and all those touch. KFC, all of those things. That tone of color must not be different on any of the way they write their text, their fonts, the choice of font that they use, everything has been, including if you see Microsoft written in another font, you will know that something is wrong because they have been consistent with it over the years and over time. All right. So that's what we're talking. So that's how we use mood board, is where you prepare all of those things. All right, the font, the size, everything, the colors, you put them there so that whenever anybody wants to work on the project, they can apply it without changing anything. Then we have user journey. This is a chain of steps established by a UX designer to demonstrate where visitors enter and how they interact with a design. So a user journey is also referred to as user flow or UX flow. It is established for two chief purposes. You can see, which we will see. We can see this. Once people enter, you come here, from here to here. Can you see? From here, you can move to any of this. You can go back and forth here. So here, this is call to action button. When you click on the call to action button, you can move to this place as well. So there are different, you can actually determine the movement around the particular, you can determine how, let's say a shopping website, for instance, you can determine how people go from clicking on a product to checking out, all right, without stress. Then usability test. This is very, very important. I've mentioned this several times. This is important to test the product before launching it. So usability or UX design term refers to the ease of navigating through a design. So usability testing asks users to complete tasks while researchers observe to learn about any problem or confusion encountered when interacting with the design. So usability test is, I was talking about quantitative and qualitative analysis the other time, framework, and the qualitative you use different, in the quantitative we talk about attitudinal and behavioral, and the attitudinal and behavioral, this is where it comes in for UX researchers, whereby they will be able to observe users using the product and observe how they are able to find it easy or difficult to use. All right, they can record the scene, they can see the gesture of the person, they can see the facial expression, which tells you more about how the person is experiencing the product. All right, you can get feedback by comment and all of that as well. So usability test is very, very important, and that's where we're going to be wrapping up the class today because of our time. And then I would like to take in questions and questions and contributions before I, move on to the assignments section.
Thank you, Timmy. Happy. Wow. I think Debbie Spice was asking a question. Debbie, has your question been answered? I know Faith and Alima has been responding. How long does it take to create this to live? I'm guessing that is the prototype, isn't it? So how long does it take?
What's that?
Yeah, can I speak, please?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you for the lecture, Timmy. So as you were speaking, I just had an idea in my head. I'll speak to you about it, Vivitech. It sounds weird, but so I was like, okay, how long does it take to do all of this, from the UX, UI, then the people that will develop the app, and like how long for a live app that works, a workable app, not a prototype? So from the idea to the prototype to everything, to say, okay,
testing and launch.
This is a working app, yes. So like this bolt thing you just showed us, from the ideation, from the imagination of whoever it is, putting it down, paper, blah, 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 all the steps till it becomes a functional service, like, of like a Uber account, or Just Eat, or whatever. Yeah, how long is the process? If that sounds clear.
Okay.
Okay, Timmy, take it.
Well, it actually depends. It depends on how you are approaching it and who is handling the whole thing. Like I mentioned earlier, if it's going to be in a sprint, all right, of course, a sprint basically works based on 5-day, 8 hours structure, and you can achieve that. But that is if you are giving the whole of course, we have companies that does that they can help you to do that from the ideation state into the product launch within that particular time frame. You understand? Just to test the whole thing. But the whole thing is, if, let's say, for instance, which is the area which I do the product design part. Of course, I don't do the development part. There are other people, the UX engineers, that works on that, whereby you give when you are done. But the prototyping thing is not really something that takes so long as that. If it's something that has a particular time frame that you, for example, okay, let me just say, you can have as between a week into 2 weeks product launch based on the idea, because you still have to do a lot of it. Depends on the idea you are trying to work on as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. In addition to that, depends on the scope of what you are doing. Okay. So Timmy is talking in terms of prototyping and launching an MVP. If you want to build an app, an estimation of 2 to 3 months, right from design, build, test, and launch.
Yeah.
So that is the time frame. But if you want to do like a quick and dirty, let me test this product, it can be done. In fact, if you, for instance, you want to go for an investor, you can do this prototype thing. That means you have something to show them. Bear in mind, we have not built it. An MVP is minimum viable products. That means the minimum viable products that you can have. What are the key features that you need? Okay, it's not a full-blown product yet. Okay, it's just something small, a smaller scale to present to maybe your stakeholders or your investors, or you even want to use it to test the market. But for you to build an app or build a product from start to finish, estimation 2 to 3 months, even 4 months, depending on the scope.
Yeah.
So if it's small, if it's tiny, maybe we can knock it out in 2 months. Because even when we do this prototyping and this design, there's iteration. We'll present it to you, you give us feedback, we review, we update it, we present it again. So there's those sessions going on for those weekly activities. So I hope that answers your question. I think Sister Falake wants to speak as well. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much for that in-depth session. I'm looking into designing an app for a school management system. There is one being used in Lebanon at the moment. It's called the Madrasati app. I've been looking into that app. And my question is around the research landscape that you spoke about. So if I wanted to, because the app is being used, it's not being used in UK, but I know it's being used in Lebanon by some schools. So if I wanted to do a research on that product, I'm not sure if it's acceptable for me to be doing a questionnaire, put a questionnaire together, finding out from the school, what are the pros, what are the cons, I don't know, I'm just asking a question. Is that how you do a research? Is that how you do a qualitative research? So to find out what are the disadvantages and the advantages of that product so that I can then build on that. So that's the question, if that makes sense.
Well, I don't know how, the things runs in that place. I don't know much about the geolocation thing and all of that. But basically, you could, I don't know if you have access to go there to check how the thing runs. Like, do you have access to the application itself?
I have the app, yes. I have the app on my phone. And I've been looking into it. I've been researching what is it all about. I know it's a blended learning thing where they have the classroom and they have the regular classroom fixture and they have the virtual classroom as well.
Okay.
So I know a little bit about it. So I know, what, how it will benefit the teachers, the school, and also the parents, how the parents would have easy access to latest information from their timetable and all of those. But I don't actually know much about what are the issues with this app. And as you were talking, I was thinking, wow, that would, I'm in UK and this is being used in Lebanon. And I know that it's not being used in UK because I spoke to the person that designed the product last week. And so I'm trying to find out.
Okay, do you have an idea whether there is another product that is being used in the UK that does the same thing, that does almost the same thing?
Sorry. I've got to stop us. I'm so sorry to do this. The data team are waiting to get in and they've been messaging me and their session is 2 p.m.
Yes.
I do apologize for interrupting. Is it possible for us to take this on the Telegram group? I'm doing them a disservice by not signing in. I do apologize. I know we would have more questions.